The Boston Bruins are in Montreal to take on the Canadiens tonight, a team that just so happens to be near the bottom of this week's Atlantic Division power rankings. Crazy that it's the first time they're meeting this season, and it's January 24th. Let's talk about that and more on today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaughlin, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked B. Thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins part of your day, for subscribing on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. If you haven't done so already, do it right now. Today is Tuesday, January 24th, and this episode is brought to you by a brand new sponsor here at Locked On, the FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more and visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. Quick reminder that you can find the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Locked NHL Bruins, and you can find me, my dad jokes, hockey tweets at Ian C. McLaren, getting dangerously close to 10,000 followers, which is pretty cool. And thank you to all those who have helped get me over the hump in terms of YouTube subscribers. Locked On Bruins now over 1,000 subscribers, which is amazing. And I will soon be announcing the winner of the Patrice Bergeron mini stick giveaway. A couple Bruins news items to begin the podcast today before we get to the Eastern Conference power rankings and a preview of tonight's game against the Montreal Canadiens. First, yesterday, the Bruins recalled forward Marc McLaughlin from the Providence Bruins to accompany them on this 5-game road trip that will culminate on February 1st against the Toronto Maple Leafs. McLaughlin has appeared in 39 AHL games with Providence this season, recording 7 goals, 10 assists for 17 points. He has appeared in 11 games for the Boston Bruins in his career, recording 3 goals during that time. And of course, we all remember he had a very strong training camp, and many were calling for him to make the team out of training camp this season. Of course, not quite making the cut, but he has had a pretty good campaign so far in Providence, and he'll be called upon to play a couple games on this road trip in the absence of Jake DeBrusk and Thomas Nosek. Koppinen still with the team for the time being. McLaughlin, he's not leading the Providence Bruins by any stretch in production. He's 10th with 17 points, and his 7 goals rank him 8th. Players with more goals include Vinny Lettieri, Luke Toporowski, Justin Brazeau, Oscar Steen, Chris Wagner, Fabian Lysell, Georgi Merkulov, but McLaughlin getting the edge over his counterparts when it comes to getting the call for having that strong training camp and I guess having some existing chemistry with some of the guys on the team. I would have loved to see Lysell come up. It's probably a bit premature for that. Steen deserves a shot for sure. But for the time being, it's McLaughlin, and we'll see what he can do, perhaps as early as tonight against the Canadiens. Another piece of bigger news with regard to David Pastrnak and his contract extension. There was an update on yesterday's 32 Thoughts podcast with Jeff Merrick and Elliotte Friedman. Friedman offering another small update on negotiations. He has used a football metaphor. Last week he said they were driving not quite in the red zone. And again, he reiterated the same thing. Not in the red zone yet, but they're getting closer. He said he hopes it's not a 4th and 8 and Kirk Cousins throws a 3-yard pass situation and negotiations fall apart. But he does believe that the Bruins and JP Barry, who is David Pasternak's agent, are talking almost every day. There's a real try here, and everybody understands what everybody wants, and they're trying to make it happen. I wouldn't be surprised if we get an announcement prior to the All-Star break. Pastrnak, of course, will be heading to Florida for the All-Star festivities. It would be great to have a contract signed, to have a more celebratory atmosphere around him, as opposed to questions in regards to his long-term future. And then he can go and enjoy the bye week, have a few days off following that trip to Miami, Sunrise, whatever. So getting closer, but not quite there. But it's still encouraging that they're talking almost every day. All right, coming up after the break, we are going to update the Eastern Conference Power Rankings. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, FanDuel. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sportsbook in America. If you're new to FanDuel, even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. New customers can join today. Get started with a $150 credit in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Sign up at fanduel.com/lockedon. They have all your favorite bets from money line to point spreads to player props, and you can combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. All on one app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at fanduel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Tuesdays on Locked On Boston Bruins, I update our Eastern Conference power rankings. And it just so happens that the Bruins are playing a team not quite at the bottom, but near the bottom. They are spared by the fact that the Columbus Blue Jackets are just pretty dreadful this season. .330 point percentage, 31 points through 47 games, tied for dead last in the NHL, or first in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes with the Anaheim Ducks. Now, the Montreal Canadiens, we'll talk about this a bit later. They have been decimated recently by injuries. They are ranked 15th in the Eastern Conference with a .457 point percentage, a -46 goal differential. They're 5-5 over their last 10 games. They did beat the Toronto Maple Leafs on Saturday night in overtime, but still a very winnable game for our Boston Bruins tonight. I'll mention later their goaltender, Sam Montembeault, has been very good lately, but still should be a game that the Bruins can take. As for 14th and 13th place this week, two teams under 500. The Ottawa Senators, 23-3, .467 point percentage. Philadelphia Flyers, .490 point percentage. Two teams that are trailing in the playoff picture and probably in too deep of a hole to get out of, despite the fact the Flyers are 6-4 over their last 10. Just don't think it's happening. One team that's still lingering, well, not even. Detroit Red Wings, I'd put down there as well. They have a .511 point percentage. They're -15 goal differential. 5 points back of the New York Islanders, Florida Panthers, and Buffalo Sabres, who are all outside of the playoff picture. They do have games in hand, but don't think it's happening this season for the Detroit Red Wings. Teams still in contention when it comes to the playoff race. That's where we're going to hit now. So we're talking 12 through 7 or 8 here in the East. You have the New York Islanders, Florida Panthers tied with identical records of 23, 21, and 5, 51 points, 520 point percentage. Giving the Islanders the edge here because they have a +2 goal differential compared to Florida's -4. However, these two teams are going kind of in opposite directions. Islanders are 1-6-3 over their last 10, whereas the Panthers are 6-3-1. They, of course, are the reigning President's Trophy champions. They are both currently 3 points back of the Pittsburgh Penguins for the second wildcard spot, but they've played 3 more games, which really puts them at a disadvantage. Perhaps the team with the best chance of catching Pittsburgh and or Washington for a wildcard spot is the Buffalo Sabres. They've won 3 in a row. They have 51 points, 3 back of Pittsburgh with the same amount of games played. And they also have a better goal differential. They're +18. So Buffalo into the top 9 this week, trailing Pittsburgh again by 3 points. So I'm putting them in 9th. Pittsburgh's actually ahead of the first wildcard team in the Washington Capitals because they have a better point percentage. 2 fewer points, but 3 fewer games played. Washington, 571 point percentage. Pittsburgh is at 587. So they're going up in 7th place this week. Right now, based on points, Pittsburgh is in the second wildcard spot, and they would be playing our Boston Bruins in the opening round of the playoffs. But, of course, you have to look at point percentage because it looks at how teams have succeeded in the context of the games that they have played. So right now, Pittsburgh gets the edge over Washington because they've been more successful in fewer games, picked up more points in fewer games. Let's look at the top 6. The New York Rangers are in 6th this week, 26, 14, and 7, 59 points, 628 point percentage, +26 goal differential. They're 7-2-1 over their last 10. They're tied with Tampa Bay in total points, but Tampa, 2 fewer games played. They get the edge. They are in the top 5 this week, 656 point percentage, firmly locked into the 3rd place spot in the Atlantic Division. Top 4, the Toronto Maple Leafs, 29, 11, and 8, 66 points, 12 back of our Boston Bruins with 2 more games played, which is wild. Still an excellent season for them so far, +36 goal differential. They're 6-3-1 over their last 10, but still cannot make a dent in the Bruins' lead atop the Eastern Conference. 3rd place, you have the New Jersey Devils. They started off strong, had a bit of a dip in December, 7-1-2 over their last 10, and they are 2 points back of Carolina in the Metro and have a much better goal differential. They're +40 compared to Carolina's +27. Carolina in 2nd place this week, 66 points, a 717 point percentage, and they too are 12 points back of Boston, but with the same amount of games played. Boston Bruins, without question, the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, in the NHL, .848 point percentage, which is ridiculous. They've picked up points in 84.8% of their games played. Insane. 37, 5-4, 78 points, plus 81 goal differential, which is putting New Jersey and Toronto together. They have a goal differential of plus 36. Sorry, plus 76. The Bruins are plus 81, which is insane. They've scored the most goals in the Eastern Conference. They've allowed the fewest by far. They've allowed only 96 goals. The next closest is New Jersey at 121. And a lot of you are kind of lamenting the President's Trophy curse, saying, oh, this team is too good, peaking too soon. They're going to fall apart in the playoffs because they don't have opposition or they don't have any adversity through the regular season. I think you're underestimating the Bruins leadership group, how they're keeping everybody focused on the goal and how they're not going to easily let this opportunity slip by them. So the Bruins firmly entrenched in the number one spot in the Eastern Conference once again this week, and they'll be taking on the 15th place team in the Montreal Canadiens tonight. It's a game that we will preview here in a moment. First, a quick word from our other sponsor today, which is Athletic Greens, and they have a product that many are using every day to improve their overall health. With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. It's a special blend of ingredients that supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It's created when the founder experienced some gut health issues of their own and ended up on a complicated supplement routine that cost $100 a day. It's difficult to create an optimal nutrition routine on your own. They've done it for you. Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Just visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. That's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutrition insurance. Boston Bruins, Montreal Canadiens, tonight at the Bell Center. A rivalry for the ages that we all get up for. Unfortunately, this year, on paper, it's quite imbalanced in terms of the quality of the players and the teams. Right now, Canadiens are 20, 24-3, 15th in the Eastern Conference, and they have been beset by major injury issues. First overall pick, Juraj Slafkovsky's out for the season. Sean Monahan's injured. Brendan Gallagher's injured. Jonathan Drouin's injured. And they recently lost top scorer Cole Caulfield for the season after undergoing shoulder surgery. He was having an amazing season, 26 goals through 46 games. And it is he's a guy that's I always enjoy watching. I am a fan of the short kings of the NHL, of which he is one. Still a big fan of Nick Suzuki, who's in the lineup. Josh Anderson's been pretty good as of late. Kirby Dach. And they still have some players who can hurt you on the scoreboard. One player that could steal the game is Sam Montembeault, who has been playing very well for the Canadiens as of late. He's got a .911 save percentage, effectively taking the reins in net over Jake Allen. And he's a guy who could steal a game for them. But realistically, this is a game the Bruins should win and should win pretty handily. Rem Pitlick leads them in points over their last 5 games with 7. Josh Anderson with 4, I should say. Josh Anderson with 3 goals. Christian Dvorak with 3 assists. Their power play is pretty bad. They're only succeeding on 15% of their power plays. 32nd ranked in the NHL. The Bruins, of course, are the first ranked penalty kill. Even without Thomas Nosek, should be a huge advantage for Boston there in penalty killing, special teams. Boston's power play is 3rd. Montreal's penalty kill is 26th. They're allowing the 28th ranked goals per game, 3.64. Bruins are scoring 3.8. They are scoring only 2.57 goals per game, which is ranked 28th. Bruins allowing 2.02. So like a 4-0, 4-1 game here is not out of the question, regardless of who's starting for the Bruins. Linus Ullmark started the previous game against the Sharks. It's a busy week ahead for the Bruins, so we could very well see an even split between Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark in net. So if they're going back and forth, could be Swayman tonight, and then Ullmark going Thursday against the Tampa Bay Lightning. They, of course, play back-to-back on Friday, Saturday as well. So we know that will be a split in net as well. So very winnable game for our Boston Bruins tonight against the Montreal Canadiens. Anything can happen at the Bell Center against one of your oldest rivals, but the disparity between these two teams is so vast that I'm just going to say it. The Bruins are winning tonight. I expect a big game from Taylor Hall. He is pretty cold on the scoreboard as of late. Multiple games without a goal, but he's still playing pretty well, getting some shots on net. I'd like to see him break out, not the least of which because I just added him to my fantasy team yesterday. All right, that's it for today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins, my friends. Thank you so much for taking some time to listen to today's episode. Please do smash that subscribe button if you have not already, and we will talk to you again here tomorrow on Locked On Boston Bruins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day. Take care, Reds.